Thank you, Amber, for this magical evening. Thank you for these team of collaborators that you guys are just amazing and so inspiring. And thank you to each and every single one of you participating with us and bringing your very magical, unique energy with us tonight. So my name is Alyssa Waters. I am the founder of Waters of Wisdom, Life and Spiritual Coaching. It is a true passion and mission to guide others to the self-realization that they are the hero of their own stories, that you are the hero of your own stories. I'm a certified life, spiritual, and health and wellness coach, and I have a huge passion for transformation. I'm many, many, many things as a multifaceted being, just as you are. So I definitely don't put myself in a box. I'm full of contradictions, just like the rest of you all. This is normally where the speaker might go to their pain to power story, how they've transformed their lives and how their story might be able to inspire you to transform yours too. But I'm going to go a totally different route tonight. I'm a bit unconventional, so in true fashion I will. I'm going to tell you about a mystical experience that I had. A really beautiful experience that I had, and it's a story about the power of stillness and connection. So one day after a very long, exhausting day at work, I come home to my bedroom and plop down on the bed. I have finally found the realization that rest and restoration and stillness is an integral part of every single process and is one to be honored. So I finally have gotten to that point. And so I'm laying in bed and kicking back my feet, dazing off in space, doing absolutely nothing for a moment. And I got this angelic message that came in. And this message said, "You have arrived." Immediately my ego came in. My judgment system, so it's a bad attitude. I was a bit tired, cranky. I'm like, "I have arrived. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And before I knew it, without even instructing my body, there was a visceral reaction. My hands went immediately to the heart center. And on the inside it said, "Here." Again, my ego comes back in. Here, what is going on right now? And again, without prompting, without any type of instruction, what came out of my mouth out loud was said, "Now." Here and now. And what immediately followed through with this, you guys, I went into a huge laughing fit, like joy and bliss, crying, uncontrollable. It was a mystical, magical moment filled with bliss and joy in my state of beingness. Even with moments of pausing that I would find sadness and grief for a moment, and once I had identified that, I would, almost like with realization, I went right back into the joy and the laughing and the crying and the bliss and the joy. And then it got deeper, guys. It got weirder. I had realized that I was experiencing my very favorite poem in that moment. So I was so omnipresent in this moment. And this poem has been so dear to my heart since the start of my personal spiritual awakening. And I'm going to recite this poem to you, and then I'm going to follow up and explain to you why this is important. The poem is called "Tripping Over Joy" by Hafiz. Hafiz is a mystical poet, and there's a collection of his poems in a book called "I Heard God Laughing." So this is called "Tripping Over Joy" by Hafiz. What is the difference between your experience of existence and that of a saint? The saint knows that the spiritual path is a sublime chess game with God, and that the beloved has made such a fantastic move that the saint is now continually tripping over joy, bursting out in laughter, saying, "I surrender." Whereas, my dear, I am afraid you still think you have 1,000 serious moves. Now, this is so important because I had been working on this mantra for years, "Be here now." And it had come full circle. It was a snake eating its tail kind of moment. It was the realization that life becomes a blur of activity, and everything is a means to an end. I can't wait for this, I can't wait for that. Let me rush to this, let me rush to that, to get to that, just to rush to bed, to wake up in the morning and do it all over again. You know the feeling? I sure do. I'm tired. and we forget our purpose of being in the present moment. One of the major dysfunctions of the human condition experience is this rumination of being stuck in the past, and our addiction and the anxiousness of the uncertainty of being uncertain about the future and being anxiety about the future. But it's only here in the now that we can create. We can't create from our perception of the illusion of the past and the perception of what we think the future will be. And so this was a full come circle life. I had been rushing, go, my whole life just to end up exactly where I was. I was there the whole time. We're always in the present moment. That's the only thing we have. We've been here the whole time. So I've been seeking, rushing, trying to find answers just to start exactly where I began. And this is why I got to be the saint in that moment. And this is why my angels came to really let me understand in that moment. And that's why my body had such a reaction. I was letting go of energy densities and blockages and lies and illusions that I've been holding on, so the light can be streamed through. Mental energy is like water. It has a tendency to scatter. But if we channel it, we can use it as a valuable resource. And the way that I've been able to have this experience was through having a really, really rich inner life. And I've been able to cultivate this rich inner life through quite a few different modalities, experimentals, everything's an experiment. But one of my favorite ways to find this stillness and find this presence is through my meditation practice. So many times I hear meditation is for other people, or it's woo-woo, or I keep trying and I just can't get consistent, or I can't keep my thoughts, I can't sit still. You guys, I have ADHD. I thought I'd never be able to sit still in my life. I can sit still for an hour and a half straight. My hands are numb. That's how still I am. It's incredible. And I'm hoping to debunk meditation for us tonight in the hopes that it inspires you to experiment a little bit too and find your stillness and find your power through this stillness, and through this power, find connection. Because meditation is thousands and thousands and thousands of years handed down. It's an innate tool. It's been with us the whole time. So scientifically, what's actually happening during meditation? This is the nerdy, cool, fun stuff. Okay? We're talking about brainwave states. Beta, alpha, theta, delta. I put together an acronym for learning for us. Be authentic today, darling. Beta, alpha, theta, delta. So what's actually happening is that when we're waking like we're doing right now, we're on beta wave brain. This is where the ego lives, that judgment system. This is where the incessant chatterbox, the monkey brain, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't, grocery lists. We're going through, we're thinking about the awkward conversation, a thing that we perceived we said was awkward 2 years, 3 months, and 21 days ago, and 4 hours ago. You know exactly what I'm talking about, that obsession. So what we get to do in that state, when we're going into a meditative state, we're actually going into the same brainwave states that we cycle during our sleep cycles, alpha, theta, delta. From a light meditative state, from alpha to deeper to theta, and most deep to delta. And what's really interesting about this is that once we turn off the conscious side beta wave brain, we get to connect with the subconscious, because the subconscious is what's running our bodies when we're sleeping. So beta wave shuts off, conscious side shuts off, chatterbox shuts off, right? And you can do what you're doing. So we have access to these lucid states and this long-term memory storage, because that's what your subconscious is your long-term memory. And we get to access it and explore it and get into the flow by hanging 10 on a cosmic brainwave. We're going to change channels. Remember I said that mental energy, you want to channel it, so you can flip the channel in there. So what's really interesting when we get into access to the subconscious, we get access to memories that we never thought we'd be able to access again, or even know we're there. But we get to rearrange it, and there's a very symbolic, in our subconscious, it doesn't speak language there, it's all in symbology. So we get to have new relationships with the things in our life and events in our life and perceptions in our life. I'm going to debunk hypnosis for you real quick too. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. That's what's actually happening to you. You're just changing brainwave states. Don't be scared of these things, you know. Don't be scared how Hollywood portrays things. It's all an act anyway. So let's talk about memory recall. So if the ego is in beta wave, and we're leaving beta wave and we leave ego behind, that judgment system is not there. And so when we find that place of stillness, and eventually we get to shut off beta wave and our body kind of goes to sleep, but we're not sleeping. Time kind of goes away. Time doesn't really exist here. And so I'm going to give you a tip real quick that's very important. When you get into these states, do not analyze or think about it or try to create meaning as you're experiencing it, as you're in these states. Because it's the ego that's judging and analyzes and does all that work. So just like keeping a dream journal with yourself, like don't worry, you'll be able to recall when you come out and be able to record your mystical experiences that you have here. But then you start understanding and interpreting it just like a dream journal would. So maybe you put a notebook beside you when you meditate. Do not judge it in there because it's going to take you right back out. It's going to bring you right back to beta wave. And so it'll pull you right out. So memory call. I'm going to tell you a very intimate and vulnerable thing. I had a near-death experience when I was born. And so I had reached this meditation once, and I was back at the memory of my birth. What in the world is going on? I was like, being my good job being a third-party observer of what's going on and what I'm experiencing, and the visceral, it's so lucid that I'm experiencing. And I was there, and there was quite a lot of confusion. The umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck 3 times when I came out. I was also supposed to be a boy, but I came out a woman, as you can see. So there's a lot of confusion in this room. There was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of panic. And what I had realized throughout this is that I came into planet Earth, I came into this world in fight or flight. My fight or flight was on fire, and there was all this confusion about who I was and what's going on. And so during all of this, I all of a sudden became the baby. And I was being held by an adult that I thought at the time was like a nurse. And I was the baby, and there was a lot of fuss, and there was a certain moment of surrender, and I kind of just crashed and kind of cuddled into the chest of the adult. And then all of a sudden I changed perspectives, and I was the adult holding me. And I saw this sweet, sweet little baby, so rosy face, thick black hair, tiny little thing. And I see her wrestling, I see her, and then again, that same thing, and falling back into the chest. And then from there, all of a sudden, I saw myself on one of those tables that you have, like carts, like that they put the newborns in. They got the clear plastic around the perimeter and the name card. Kind of. This was in the 80s, so I don't know how they did it. But yeah, so I was looked at her, and she was so beautiful. And I had realized in that moment why my mother had called me Rosebud. Because this sweet little baby had such a rosy little face, and she was so tiny. It was so endearing. And then I heard this loud voice come in very sternly and say, "This is who you are. You are a survivor." And why this was so important for me to hear is because I always had this innate feeling that I didn't belong. That I didn't really know where I fit. There was this disconnection for me, even within my family. And it makes sense now. And now I can make sense of it because our sensitive little baby bodies, I'm coming into all this energy without any cognitive maturity of understanding of what's going on, and everything's a panic. And the doctor and my dad did not tell my mom. They argued who would tell my mom, and neither of them did. They just gave me to her. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of confusion even for myself. And so I came out of this meditation bawling and crying, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I thought to myself, I must belong here. I must have purpose, and there must be a reason for me, because God must want me here. There's something big I'm supposed to be doing in this life. After all of that, all the probability, heck, just me even being born, I'm meant to be here. But then all of that, I am a survivor. That's who I am. I am meant to be here, and I have purpose, and there's reason for it. And I got brave enough to go share this story with my mother. And I start telling my mom about this. And I saw a look on her face that I've never seen before. And she goes, that was me. That was me. That was me. That was me. I was the one holding you. That was me. And we got to have this really, really unique bonding experience because it wasn't a nurse holding me. It was the gray of the hospital gown. It was my mother. And she validated this experience that I had in meditation because she was there too. And she had remembered that baby who finally gave into her arms. So not only did this give me such a unique, phenomenal experience, but it made me realize this is one meditation of so many neat experiences I can share with you. But there are worlds upon worlds upon worlds upon worlds in there. This is the rich inner life that I'm talking about. During meditation, we get an opportunity to wake up our inner body. Some really, really neat, amazing things start happening during meditation when we find this place of stillness, such a stillness that our body starts neutralizing itself. It might send shivers, or it might twitch, or these beautiful, euphoric, energetic waves that go to our body. But we have to get that still for the tension. So much tension gets to be released out of our bodies during this, and we get to meet our energetic self. And we get to stop identifying with form. We stop identifying with our body, stop identifying with our mind, stop identifying with our emotions, and realize we are spirit. This is the truest form of ourselves. We are formless. We get to meet the everlasting energy, this life force energy that is omnipresent. This divine intelligence. When we enter life, you think we enter in with a breath. And when we leave this life, it's an exhale. We do not instruct our bodies to do that. It just happens. It's that's who you are. That's who we are. And it's only in the now present moment, finding stillness, that we can have this realization that, and then we can create, and we can meet each other to create here. God is the one life in all life forms and beyond. This truest essence. This is where we find our salvation. This is where we can hear God, hear our higher selves. This is where we find truth. This is where we realize the conscious awareness of I am. Now, this all brought an epiphanies into my life, and epiphanies I like to call windows into remembering who you are. They bring truth into our life. And this made me realize that we don't have a life, we are life. We are love, and we don't need to earn love. We are it. And when all this illusion fades and the interconnectedness comes all together to the forefront, through the gift of presence, we get to all come back to one. It's so incredible, the connection we get to experience in these places, and realize where we come from is not this physical, formless. I have put a copy of this poem in the back of your booklet, and also a list of meditation tips and tricks. I hope that I have inspired you to relook at your meditation practice. It is a practice just like anything else. We show up differently in our practices, but it compounds over time. 1% better every day yields huge results over time. And it's my promise to you to keep showing up for myself and my spiritual connection so that I can be here to create. And I trust you and have faith that you will do the same so you can show up and create, so we can create together, because that's really where the magic happens. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come speak with you and share my full self. Be authentic today, darling. Beta, alpha, theta, delta. Be authentic today, Arlen. That's all you got to do. Our purpose is just to be here now in the present moment with full integrity, because this present moment compounds, and guess what? That's what builds our future. Stop obsessing. Let go. I believe in you, and I believe in us, and I believe in what we're all creating. Thank you very much. What an honor. Amber, thank you. Team, thank you. I am so inspired. Thank you very much for your time.